Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I can't believe that's something I'm saying again. Amidst with how the world is right now, I kind of wanted to come on here and give you guys some book recommendations. I have been very anxious myself with how the world is right now. So I holed myself up in my room this entire month and read. I read 13 books this month, which I had been on a really bad reading slump. I hadn't read a book in a while before this month. So I wanted to come to you guys, give you some of my favorite recommendations of things I read this month, kind of go over what I read. I missed doing videos like this, so I wanted to give you guys kind of some of my favorite reads. Those were my videos that everyone really enjoyed, and I think that's my favorite videos I ever kind of made on here. I know I made a lot of like makeup and style and all that kind of stuff, but that's not my jam as much anymore, as I'm just a nerd. I also created a book Instagram account if you guys want to follow that to keep up to date. I post every time I finish books. I also have my Goodreads link down below. So let's start with the lowest star books to the highest star books. The lowest book this month was 2 stars starting out. It was For Better and Worse by Margaret Hunt. I had high expectations for this one. It is about 2 lawyers who meet in law school, and they basically talk about how they could get away with murder. And I watched How to Get Away with Murder in the first couple seasons. I watched Scandal. I love that kind of plot. I heard this and I was like, I got it for my book of the month a couple months ago. I was like, this is my book. So I read it. The reading was easy. The ending is what truly pushed me over the edge to give it 2 stars. I think there was little character development done, and I think that was part of it as well. Like the relationship between the parents was very bad, and they kind of, you know, the mom loved the son and the dad loved the son, but it was kind of a very weird dynamic relationship, and the ending is just so unrealistic. It would never ever happen, and I feel like with a book like that where it's not a paranormal or not a fantasy book, I'm looking for an ending that, you know, shocks me but is somewhat realistic, and this was just it was not for me. Down to 3 stars. I have 2 books in the 3-star category. 2 were both highly anticipated big books. So we have The Silent Patient and The Whisper Man. Both of these were 3 stars for me. So let me explain a little bit. Everybody's going to be looking at this and like going insane because The Silent Patient won Goodreads 2019 Thriller of the Year, and I believe Whisper Man was nominated. Maybe not. Both of them felt very predictable. I think because I'm someone who watches a lot of Dateline, 48 Hours, thriller shows, like I don't know, I don't want to say that I'm above it, but I just think sometimes some of the tropes that happen, I just don't understand. So The Silent Patient is about a woman who kills her husband, and that's not a spoiler because that happens in the first, like you read that in the flap of the book. And this man, and she goes to a mental hospital basically for the rest of her life, and she never speaks. So it's this man's journey following through getting her to speak. And again, the ending to me was somewhat predictable, and I didn't love it. I know everybody was raving about it, and it was a huge, highly anticipated read, and I'm sure it'll get adapted into a movie. It seems like something that would get adapted into a movie. It just wasn't for me. And then The Whisper Man is about a man, it follows a couple different viewpoints. So the main viewpoint we see is this man and his son, and they move after his wife has died, and his son is talking about a little boy in the floor, and he has imaginary friends, and he hears someone whispering outside his window. And there used to be this man who kidnapped children called the Whisper Man, and he would whisper to them through the window. And I don't know, it was just too, I don't know. I know everyone loved it, and I wanted to love it, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not saying you shouldn't read those. If they sound interesting to you, try them out, see how it goes, but just not for me. So first up in the 4-star category, we have The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober by Catherine Gray. This is the first and only, one of the few nonfiction books I read this month. I was on a big fiction kick. About her journey through being sober, getting sober, and I think it's very interesting. I'm someone who's super curious. I have had my fair share of terrible experiences with alcohol, so sometimes I I'm not sure if it's something that I want to dabble in, so I've been trying to take the time off drinking, especially with my anxiety right now. So it's a very good book, somewhat of a memoir, but it also gives a lot of good tools. If you're someone who's interested in sobriety, you have a loved one who is thinking about sobriety or going through sobriety, I would highly recommend it. I think it's a very good book, and she explains a lot of different tools and talks about a lot of different things and her experiences, because she's been sober, I don't remember how many years it was, but a decent amount of time, I want to say maybe 9 or 10 years, something like that. But very good book. I would highly recommend it. Next up is The Greatest You by Trent Shelton. This is a nonfiction book, kind of similar in a memoir setting. He is a former NFL player and speaks about kind of his life up until this point and how he has maintained, I don't know, I guess success, but also peace. He talks a lot about different things, just with tools to help you with your life. I really like his podcast. I think it was pretty good. It was kind of basic in some parts, which is why I didn't give it 5 stars. I think some of it was self-explanatory, and it's pretty short, so I flew through it within a day. But it's a good book. Alright, so to start off my 5-star reads, we have Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton. I also read When We Left Cuba, which is the second book in this series, I guess, technically. This is about a girl and her grandmother, their parallel experiences in Cuba. So her grandmother during the time of Batista before Fidel Castro, and then the daughter, the granddaughter, goes back to Cuba to do some research for an article she's writing. I loved this book. I got this as a recommendation from the What Should I Read Next podcast, and I loved it. It is a historical fiction novel. I'm a huge historical fiction fan. I really like historical fiction that takes place in places that isn't America. I learned a lot about Cuba in this book, which I think is very cool because I didn't know that much. I knew obviously about Fidel Castro and things like that, but I didn't really know very much, and I feel like I learned a lot from this novel, so it was really, really good. I would highly recommend. This is one of the books that I think if you're looking for an escape right now, it's a really good escape, because yes, there are some sad parts in it, but it's such a gripping novel that I would highly recommend it. So I read When We Left Cuba, which is the second book in that, which is a parallel, so it's a story through the experience of the sister of her grandmother in this novel, and she talks about how she's kind of in the CIA, working for the CIA, trying to take down Fidel Castro. I loved that one as well. I think Chanel Clayton is a fantastic author. I think she's just able to write her characters really well. Her character development is fantastic. Her writing choice when writing about places is fantastic. I would just highly recommend both of those if you're looking for kind of an escape novel. I gave myself this year a kind of a mission to read more classic novels, and so I picked to start with Jane Austen. I read 2 Jane Austen novels this month. I'm very happy with both of them. They were both fantastic, fantastic books. I think Persuasion was my favorite out of the 2. It was Persuasion by Jane Austen and then Emma by Jane Austen. I wanted to read Emma because I know the movie came out, and I also was trying to look for excuses to read classic books, so I was like, perfect, works out. And then Persuasion I got because I was at my local indie bookstore, and I was like, you know what, why not? It's $1. I'll try it. I loved this book. I wish there was a movie adaptation of this one. There's so many movie adaptations of Pride and Prejudice, which I read in high school, but I'm going to reread it soon because I remember it, but I don't think I fully appreciated it. This is about Anne Elliot, and Captain Wentworth proposes to her, and she rejects him about 8 years ago, and her father begins to rent out their house. So he's going to come and rent their house, and she sees him again, and it's about their story, and I loved this. I really, really did. It was a good escape novel as well. It's only about 200 pages, 250 pages, so it's a pretty quick read. I loved it. I seriously, I was not expecting to really enjoy it as much as I did. And then Emma is about a 21-year-old girl who's essentially considered herself, she's never going to get married. So her friend comes to her, and she kind of meddles in all of her friends' loves lives and tells them what they should or shouldn't be doing. And her character's a little bit self-serving sometimes, but I really, really enjoyed this one. I think it's also an interesting read. This one's a little bit longer. It's over 400 pages, I want to say. Oh, almost 400 pages. So a little bit longer, but again, it only took me about a day or two to read, and I really enjoyed this one as well. I'm going to see the movie soon, hopefully, so we'll see. Next up is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. I loved this book. It is about a wealthy white family in the suburbs of Philadelphia who hire a black woman to care for their child, and one day she takes their child to the grocery store and they start accusing her basically of stealing someone's child, which, you know, would never happen to someone who wasn't a person of color. So I think it's very relevant for the time, but yet so engaging. The novel was very interesting. There's a lot of twists and turns. There were things I didn't even think were gonna I couldn't have expected were gonna happen. So it was great in that sense, that there were moments where when things happened, I was like, there's no way this is happening right now. And lastly, I finished 2 Diana Gabaldon novels. I finished Voyager, which is the 3rd book in the Outlander series, and then I finished Drums of Autumn, which is the 5th book. Look at how fat this dude is. The cover's falling off, but again, I got it at my used bookstore for $2, something like that. You can't beat that. So Outlander, if you didn't know, is the story of a woman who gets taken back in time to the Scottish Highlands. Oh, I love these books. I really do. They're set in the 1700s. I'm starting to read The Fiery Cross now so I can catch up to the TV show, because I haven't watched the TV show for worry that they're gonna spoil something in the books for me, so I want to read the books until I watch the show. I've watched the 1st season, but I haven't seen anything beyond that. If you're a historical fiction fan, I can't recommend these enough. I am obsessed. Claire and Jamie are just so good. I will say these are kind of some of the slower books in this one. Like, I got through about this many pages and I felt like some of this could have been avoided, but I just love these books. This one is set more in America this time. They're kind of going to America, which is a different setting for the books, but really good. And then this one is still in Scotland, but it's, I don't know how to describe them without just continuously saying how great they are. I will forever recommend these to anyone who breathes or listens. So did I say 4th and 5th books? I meant 3rd and 4th books. The 5th book is The Fiery Cross. I hope I said that right. So again, if you're looking for something to do right now and you don't want to watch TV, girl, we have got 870 pages in this one. This one's over 1,000. The next one's over 900. You've got plenty of stuff to do. So those are all my recommendations for really good escape novels, I think, right now. I'm gonna be doing a cool book video that's gonna be coming out in a couple of days, hopefully within the next week. But it's gonna be really cool, so I hope you guys stay tuned for that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys back here later.